We're live. Okay. Hello, everyone. It's Adam from Birdwood Guitars. I've got the camera set up at a funny old angle at the moment because I wanted to talk to you about today. I wanted to talk, especially to beginner builders, about fretting. This is live, so this is be prepared for royal stuff ups and cameras falling down and all sorts of fun things like that. Um, I just find it's actually easier to upload these when they're a live feed because they just take forever. So I think we might be doing a lot more live stuff in the shop, and if you guys are happy to come along for the ride, that'll be cool. So let's get started. Look, the basic idea when it comes to fretting a guitar neck, there's very little. Well, there are differences. There are differences between doing a standard electric or acoustic guitar and a cigar box guitar. So this idea of this video is for beginner builders building cigar box guitars. And I'm just going to unclamp this from the bench. And I'm just going to take you through how I do it. Now this particular guitar is made with mountain ash and for the neck, and New Guinea rosewood for the neck. This is one of the Lightning Boy guitars that I build. It's a lovely straight piece of timber. Now this particular one is going to be a left-handed instrument. So if you are building your own guitar and you're left-handed, you're obviously not going to have a problem because the idea will be you'll know where to put the dots. I've fallen into that issue before because I'm a right-handed player. So of course when you're a right-handed player and you're putting side of neck dots in, one thing to keep an eye out for is that they'll be sitting on this side of the neck. If you're making a guitar for a left-handed player, it's going to be on that side of the neck there. Okay, so that's the very, very first thing to keep in mind. The second thing is that if you are building for a left-handed player, look, I always charge the same amount for left or right-handed. I don't know. It's being a small builder, very small builder. I know, that's just my thing. I don't like the idea of charging more for a left-handed guitar. So, anyway, but that's just me. All right, so I'm just going to take you through how I do a basic cut the fret slots in a standard cigar box guitar neck. Now, the difference between a cigar box guitar neck and a normal electric or a normal six-string guitar neck is very simple. Usually, not always, but usually, in 99.999% of cases, the necks are going to be straight on a cigar box guitar. Now this actually makes fretting an instrument relatively simple because it takes away the need for the use of protractors in many cases and a whole heap of mathematics. Quite simple. Big thing is, make sure your work is clamped down. Now I use what do we got for doing the necks? I generally use a template. I use a template to mark out my neck positions. I generally do everything in 25.5-inch scale length. Although I'm here in Australia, we use metric. I do look at guitar neck lengths in imperial for some reason. I don't tend to remember otherwise. All right, so the most important thing I can probably suggest to do is make sure your guitar neck is clamped down. Whether it's a vice clamp or these F clamps, make sure it's clamped down nice and tightly. The last thing you want is for, when you're doing your cutting, to actually make a mistake, for the neck to move and for you to cut a fret slot at an incorrect angle. I've got all the tools that I'm going to use at the moment. Couple of things I'll take you through now. So the first thing that I'm going to be using is obviously a fret saw. Now that's the fret saw that I use. I ordered this on, I think I ordered this off eBay. No, I think I got this from StewMac. And this has a guide. Now this actually, garbage men driving past, so you're probably going to have the noise of the trucks in the background. So what we've got here is a guide, and that allows me to not cut too far down, but also let me know when to stop, so I don't cut the slots too shallow. I do tend to cut the fret slots just a touch deeper than the tangs on the frets. Okay, so that's the first thing. So that's one saw. Another saw that you can use with good effect is one of these. I'm not a big fan of them. I think they make the slot just a little bit wide for me, and the only reason being is that I don't like to use glue. I prefer hammering the frets in and letting the tangs do the work. But other builders, if I was using this, I would definitely be using super glue to hold the frets in. So that's the first thing. Turn that off. Yes, we're back. Thanks, guys. Sorry, that was phone calls coming through. All right. So the next thing is I like to cut my own neck position dots out of leftover timber. Do you see that shoot out of my finger? There we go. So I've got some nice Tassie Blackwood, some leftover cuts, and I'll show you how I do that. I have a little thing that I use. Again, look, I've shown these before. You can get these from StewMac, or you can get these from any kind of hardware store. The one I got here was from probably about 2 years now, and it's still going strong. It's a wood bore. Basically, it's a wood borer. It's a plug cutter as well. And the idea is with this to basically it was if you stripped out a screw, you're actually able to bore a hole into the piece of timber, extract the screw, and then cut another piece of timber and put it into and to plug the hole. I've repurposed it for this job to actually cut. So I put it in. Basically, I put it in my drill press, and it cuts them out. Here's some cut-offs. I've got a little bit of blackwood. Basically, it's the fretboard cut-offs that I use. So I just cut them out of that. So that's a little thing. But you can buy these. I bought a set from Aldi, and here in Australia, it's a supermarket chain. It's a German supermarket chain here in Australia, and they were excellent. They were really, really good. So that's the first thing. I do use those. It means that I don't need to buy fret position markers. I suppose if a customer says to me, can you put abalone in or something like that, I can do that. That's no issue. But I try not to have too much waste. So I've got these 9 pieces cut out, and they're ready to go to the neck. I've got my little jar here, and I'll just go in there, my little bits of jar, the things that I'm working on this particular guitar with. All right, next tool that I use is one of these, and I have great success with these. Fantastic. You can get different types of things, and I've got an old vintage one here as well. I kind of keep this around for sentimental reasons. I don't think it's as accurate anymore as it used to be, so I tend not to use that. But basically the idea of this is that because the necks are straight, I can actually simply use this, and I can actually use this as a guide. So I've cut one. The reason I cut the first fret was basically just to make sure that if I'm cutting, I'm not going to jiggle the camera too much on the phone, because it's actually sitting on the drill press at the moment. So we'll see how we go. All right, so using my fret saw, what I'll do is I'll mark the dot there. I'll put the fret saw point on the dot. I gently move the ruler up to that point. I hold it, and all I do is very gently start my cut. Now once I've done that, then I can remove the saw and continue cutting to the depth. Now I'm just making sure that my posture is good. I've got a nice hold of the neck. I'm cutting straight. I don't use a jig. I just cut them like this. That's fine. Once I start, it's great. On electric guitars, and that's beautiful. That's come up really nicely. On electric guitars, I use one of these. Very similar type of thing. I'll basically find the angle at the nut, lock it in place, and because the fretboard is fanning out at the same degree, it's not doing that, or not doing that, it shouldn't be, I can actually then mark that and mark my lines, and again do a guide cut. Sometimes you might use a sharp knife to actually score it. I saw Ben Crow from Crimson Guitars do this in one of his very early videos. It's something that I did continue with. I'm not going to go through and do the whole neck now. I'll finish this off a little bit later. I just wanted to take you through a couple of things. The next thing that I like to do, and I've taken my little triangular file to the shop to do a little work, so I don't actually have my little triangle file here at the moment. I do like, once the frets are cut, you can get a little triangular file, very much like this. This is a fret file, fret tang cleaning end file, rounding off type thing. This one's no good because it's smooth side, but if you can get just from anywhere, just from Bunnings or any hardware store, just get a standard on the edge, not smooth like that. And basically what you do is then just run it back and forwards along the fret like that, gently, a couple of times, not too deeply at all. And the idea is that when you hammer your fret in, the idea quite simply will be that it'll sit in nicely, it'll go in nicely, and if for some reason, let's say you haven't set it properly, or there's been a mistake, or a couple of years down the line someone wants to replace the frets, the idea simply then is that they can actually extract those frets a lot easier without having too much tear out along the grain. So that's basically it for today. I hope that's been of help. Again, I'm going to do a lot more of these beginner tip videos for you guys. I'll do some more experienced stuff a little bit later for the more experienced builders, if that's the case, if you want that. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to pop a message down below in the comments section. We all do things a little bit differently. I think that's a given. Again, this video is for people who are just starting out, just showing you what I do. Little caveat, of course, is that not always what I do, not everyone's going to agree with it. I'm just showing you what I do. Take it with a grain of salt, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. That's all fine. But obviously, please leave messages if you like what you're seeing. Please subscribe to the channel. Thanks very much. See ya.